Hi, today I'm going to be talking about how easy it is for me to be a vegan. I know that before I became vegan, I thought that it would be quite hard, and I think it was because I didn't have the knowledge back then that I do now, and also my attitude back then isn't the same as it is now. So, I know that some people's reasons for not being vegan include the possible social isolation, or they don't know that it's healthier, or they think that it's not healthier. They might be deterred because it's probably not as convenient, since the culture that we live in is based around meat eating and dairy and eggs. So because of this inconvenience and just we don't live in a world that is vegan, people aren't really attracted to veganism because it's like being isolated from the rest of society in a way. I think I wasn't deterred by that because once you read about the benefits and the harm that you're doing to the environment, you just change your attitude. So what you know changes who you are. And that's part of the reason that it's been quite easy for me. I think knowledge is power. Like, the more that you know, the better decisions you can make. And you can make the best decisions based on what you know. If you don't know something, you're going to be just living your life in a bubble and not necessarily thinking outside of that. It's like being in a relationship with someone who's cheating on you, and you stay in that relationship either because you don't know that they're cheating on you, or you know and you just want to stay with them because you've just been with them for a long time and they make you happy sometimes, and that person just makes you feel comfortable, and you've just been in that situation for too long to try out, like, breaking up with them, basically. And I think people have that same relationship with food. Like, they've grown up with certain foods and they've had good memories, and they've just built an identity around the things that they eat, and they've built a social life based on what they eat. So to take that away from someone is quite challenging, and until that person can see the harm that's happening to them, and also that the harm that they're bringing to others, they won't change. So I think knowledge is power, and if you're ignorant, that's really too bad. I think everyone should always be educating themselves on how to live a better life and how to become a better person. To be an ethical vegan doesn't necessarily mean that you're healthy. There's definitely vegans who just eat a lot of processed junk food and fake meat, or like just anything as long as it's vegan. So in a way, it's not really that hard to be vegan if you're just an ethical vegan. I think it's probably a bit harder if you're also concerned with being healthy. I say it's harder because you have to learn more about how to do it the right way. But in a way, it's also easier because I think that's more sustainable than eating junk food your whole life and then suffering the consequences. So in a way, it's easier to also find out the healthiest way to be vegan. Like, for me, I'm not an animal lover. Like, I'm not really an animal person. I didn't become a vegan because of the animals. Like, honestly, I didn't care that much. But I think the longer that I've been vegan, And the more that I've read and more that I've watched, the more inclined I am to be compassionate towards animals. Like, I think you don't have to necessarily love someone or love something to respect it. Like, I don't necessarily love all dogs. Like, if I saw a dog across the street or just walking past, if I go for a walk, I won't feel all cuddly toward it. But at the same time, I'm not going to pay someone to kill the dog. Like, that's done nothing to me. So killing animals for food, for me, doesn't make any sense. And I'm not saying that it's necessarily morally wrong to kill an animal for food. I think it depends on the circumstance you're in. Like, there's no absolute moral thing against killing animals. And I know that Christians will even quote the Bible and say, oh, but God says in the Bible that we can eat meat. And he even instructs Paul to kill some animals and eat them. But I don't see those passages as being advice for humans to eat meat every day, almost every meal. I think that's taking passages out of context and just twisting them towards what you want it to be. So I don't believe that God necessarily wants us to be treating animals the way that we are. And I'm sure that God wants us to show compassion toward his creatures. We're here to look after the earth as well. We're not here just to deplete it of its resources. So I think it's irresponsible of us to just quote the Bible and say, oh, God allows us to eat meat, so why not? Like, that's just being very short-sighted. And yeah, as I said, it's taking passages out of context. And even if you wanted to use the Bible as a reference for meat eating, the same can be done for doing it as a case for veganism. Like, think about the story of Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden. Before they sinned, they were vegan. They were eating only plants, only fruit. There wasn't such thing as killing before sin. And fast forward to the time of Daniel. Some of you might have heard about the Daniel diet, which is like a vegan diet. And he was avoiding the king's food, like all the meats, so that he would be stronger to fight. So you can use the Bible either way. So I'm not saying that it's a sin to eat meat, but I don't see it as profitable. So everything is permissible, but not necessarily beneficial. And I think that if we are going to be responsible for our own lives and live to our potential, then we do need to look at how the decisions we're making affect those around us. And being a vegan is one way that we can make this world a better place. So knowing what I know, that has really helped me to shape my decisions every day and not think that it's so hard to be vegan, because when you know it's the right thing to do, it's not as hard. Another reason that some people don't become vegan is because they think it's not that healthy. Or they might think that they're getting deficiencies in certain nutrients because they're not educated about what nutrients you need, how much of each nutrient for your body. And just the propaganda surrounding meat consumption is quite large in Western culture. You'll hear about how lean protein is necessary for building muscle, and how you can't get vitamin B12 from plants, or that plants don't have enough protein, or you can't build muscle as easily on plant foods. So there's a lot of misconceptions and some conflicting information out there. So it is hard for some people to make informed decisions if they don't do their own research, and many people won't do their own research. That's just the way it is. Where was I? Yeah, so it's like someone who has been investing their money with a certain bank for their whole life, and their parents and the rest of their family and their friends are with that bank, and they've been getting enough interest to keep them going. There's also lots of branches around. It's really convenient to withdraw money. And so you're pretty happy with that bank, and you don't want to change because that would mean more research. Imagine that there is another way, like there's another bank, there's another investment option that's available, and it's not as popular because it's not advertised as much on TV or in magazines. But there's people who are getting good results with that bank. They're getting richer, they're earning more interest than with the bank that is most popular, but it's just that people don't know about it, and there's not as many people working for that bank. So it's kind of like that. With being a vegan, you do have to research about the lifestyle and what's the healthiest way to go about it. But in the end, it's worth it because your health is your wealth. If you're willing to look for deals to save money, or if you're willing to look for investment options that give you the best returns, wouldn't you also want to know what's best for your health and not necessarily listen to advertising by meat industries or the egg and dairy industries? Like, of course, they're going to tell you that it's healthy. And of course, those industries have a lot of money, and they're going to be influencing the education system, and they're going to be influencing the media to promote the message that meat is healthy, that eggs are healthy, that dairy is necessary for your bones. So you're going to hear these things, but they're not necessarily true. I think it's important to do your own research and find out the truth about what you're consuming. So the more that you know, the better decisions you'll make. And you won't be ignorant anymore, or you won't just be listening to what everyone is telling you. So that's the main reason that it's been quite easy for me to be vegan, because I know more now, and the more I know, the easier it is.